So, looking ahead, when we talk about leadership, leaders, and leadership capabilities in the next 5 to 10 years, so what leadership capabilities do you think will become obsolete, and what new ones do you think will emerge?
I think those people who can still tap and develop large teams, continuously learning from and listening to markets, listening to opportunities, being li- far more of a listening organization to what's happening rather than believing that I know it all. Uh, Being able to actually get all the people on a clearer set of objectives to achieve and actually trying to ensure that I am the best in class in what I do. In our world, there's no greater thing than superior delivery because it sells for itself. Credible superior delivery, enhance customer engagement as a result of that. And if you get that right, and we also have to communicate that success continuously within the organization and externally, because you could do something fantastically well, and if it's best kept secret and nobody knows, then you're not tapping the full sales potential of what you've done. So I think the combination of actually doing this well matters. The challenge is when you're doing it, for example, in AI, where the expectations are very unclear because it's in such a hype cycle, as I said earlier. You've got to learn to manage that expectations and still provide business impact and actually demonstrate that business impact through specific business impact outcomes, and also talk to it for customers where we know the business impact is possible, and they need to also step up and accept that that business impact can be achieved by trying something new with AI. I think that's where we are at this point where we ask ourselves, the customer has pain points, surely does, you know, all kind of pain points, right from the highest level of cost income ratios uh, to everything else. Will that change surely? How will I participate in the change? How can I recognize the specific area of problems? Where can I give you something that I have already? And if I don't have it, how do I give you a platform that gives you the ability to create digital experts with the whole capability that Purple Fabric brings to the table to help you achieve those business outcomes and that business impact? Because once they have the business impact, as we see it with some of our clients, they're not going to go anywhere else, right? They're going to keep doing more. And there's a lot of opportunity there.
But leading in AI can get pretty intense. The pace of the change, the complexity, the high stakes in it. Like, what helps you to take those tough decisions at the same time while you're still focused on the bigger picture?
Yeah, I mean, the definition is of a tough decision itself is a question, right? How do you view something as a tough decision? Uh, and the other thing that I believe is it has to be less dictatorial. It has to be more team. Anyone who thinks that only I think the right way is a problem. And any of them will always miss out on certain pieces. We are all sportsmen in a way, right? And I've always learned, I've always been part of a team in sports, and I've done I used to obviously be a part of the team and did a particular set of things in the team. You can't be doing everything and say, I'm the only one who knows, right? And most of what we do is a team. And therefore, getting the right team together that fill it to each other's gaps occasionally they will be the all rounder, and there'll be some who think they're the best at everything, right? And that's part of the management of how the team works. That's why you need the coach or the mentor or the captain.
That's
And
great.
therefore, that combination has to come together if you really have to succeed. And there will be many individuals doing phenomenal jobs in the team, which need to be rewarded appropriately. But if the team doesn't win, what really is that? I mean, it can happen occasionally, but can't happen consistently.
Yes. So this, I mean, takes me to the next one. Like, given your global experience across cultures, markets, how has that shaped your personal leadership philosophy? And is there any particular cultural approach that has influenced you the most?
Uh, See, it's funny. I always had the opportunity to deal with phenomenal number of countries. Coming from where I came to eventually getting an opportunity to deal with multiple countries, I think you got to recognize people with cultural differences. Uh, as part of leadership, you have to also recognize that there are many, many places around the world that do exceptionally well, and they have different strengths and cultures that make that happen. How do we look for the best and don't let anything else come in the way? And that's why diversity, you know, is very important because it really gives you the ability to tap the best of cultural strengths, which come from years and years of culture. And I think the more I used to deal with people, I found phenomenal strengths. And by the way, some weaknesses too. And being able to understand that and tap the right thing and
As you
ensure
said,
that
as
those
a team.
weaknesses as a team are filled up right. Because you could have a cultural team of different people filling into different people's strengths. And I think we have to be careful that we don't fit into a comfort zone of a particular frame of people, but we actually bring together a combination of cultural diversity um, so that you can get the best outcome. So I think, in my mind, just having to deal with all those differences, yeah. And it's not only dealing with differences within the team, it's also customers. Customers also will have that same diversification in their mind because they come from different cultures, our customers. And therefore, it's very important for us to be able to have the right people deal with the right people across these different geographies often. Right? Uh, and they work differently. Our US businesses run very differently in their operating models compared to most other places because it's a massive country, multiple cities that are large. Within the country, there are so many differences. I mean, a lot of us are brought up in India. We know there are differences across India too, right? There may be an underlying claim, similar, but you've got to adjust yourself to the way people operate. And therefore, it's important to have that right mix of and team together.
Banesh, I, I still remember you interviewed me 7 years back when I joined Intellect, and we talked about leadership. I still remember that as a thoughtful conversation rather than just an interview. I'm curious to know how has your definition of leadership has evolved over the years, especially with the rise in AI and the rapid digital transformations.
I think the basic core stuff has not changed. Regardless of whether it's AI or not, I'm still a people first person, right? That's number one. Number two is we got to make people who may not have had the same experiences to succeed. Therefore, it's about giving them a chance to fly and at the same time giving them a team to work with that will make them succeed and make the whole team succeed. So it is people first. And I don't think whether it's AI or all the journey that I've had for all those decades, uh, changes too much. It's always with people identifying certain combination of people, where they fit the team, how they can get together. How do you ensure the team works together with a business objective in mind, right? And at the same time, don't stifle innovation and creative. It's not about a bias for an older person or a younger person or anything like that, right? It's about the right combination of a team. Uh, and the fact that we have to keep changing. So I would say that was more important, and therefore finding the right combination of people who will come in and work with the team. And guess what? If any of us look back into our lives, we've often done jobs that we were not qualified to do. It's a question of how we work together in the team to make that possible. And therefore, the person's ability to be able to have that level is important. And I'm also a firm believer that once you really like something you do or you have the right passion, uh, I don't think there's a problem with energy. So today I often say to some of my team members that can you maintain the same energy level that I do? If you do, that's one indicator, right? And if you don't, it's not because of any other reason. You just haven't found the right passion in what you want to do. So I think if you get it right, you put your energies to make it happen and you'll put your best foot forward and there's a whole team supporting you. But if you don't rise up, then either you've got to be told that you need to rise up or the team has to be able to push you. It doesn't have to come from me all the time, right? You've got to recognize that yourself. So I think that's one important thing. The second thing which I find is it's a very interesting thought. You have to be a good listener. You this belief that things will happen only because of you is a big issue. A lot of people fall into this thing that if it are not for me, this won't happen. Absolutely incorrect. And matter of fact, the best success is when you step back and everybody else does it on their own. That's when you actually achieve your objective. But if you think you've got to be involved in every single thing you do, then you're either downplaying your teams, or you're not choosing the right people, or there's something wrong. And I think some of us have to really sit back and think about this and ask ourselves the more in leadership, the more the leaders should be able to drive rather than you saying, I got to do everything. And, and well, many people do it because they believe that, the others are not doing enough and this, that, and the other. And the problem and the danger of that is then when I start doing everything only by myself and it doesn't still work, then there's a problem for the whole organization. Because the last thing I'll do is blame somebody else for it, right? If I've taken that call. But that's not the way to drive these things. So I think it's a fundamental way in which, as leaders, we need to drive things.
You mentioned people first. This is an observation question. Whenever you visit London office, I always observe you're genuinely calm and very approachable, whether it's walking through the office space or engaging with colleagues. It just stands out. Is that your natural temperament, or is it one of those conscious choices that you made as a leader over the years?
I think I think it's not conscious. It just comes to me naturally. And why does it come naturally? Because I've been like that all my life. Um, I don't distinct. First of all, things like hierarchy, seniority, and all really doesn't matter to me. Right? It will never matter to me ever. And therefore, my ability to deal with different people at whatever, I don't even sometimes don't even know what they may be doing right now. I think it's important because do I have things on my mind? Surely do. Do I have stresses? Surely do, right? But the last thing you can do is take it out on others or on the environment. I should tell, when I used to run all the call centers globally for this bank, right? The one thing we used to say often is when you have had a bad day, the last thing you can do is take it out on the customer. So you should actually better off go to your supervisor and say, I've had a bad day and take your hour off or even go home. And that's the onus on the individuals. And you need to create the culture because everybody has a bad day. So I think it's very important, therefore, to be able to be calm and not take out. Because lots of people tend to take pressures out that they have had with others at the next level. It achieves nothing. Actually, it achieves more stress. Rather than sitting back and understanding the problem and then fixing it. In my earlier years, when I actually moved from Mumbai to Chennai, the whole technology platform was broken. We had to go back 3 to 4 days operationally and fix issues. And the reason that it gave me resilience was that everybody was so strained and everyone was blaming everybody else and the whole place was in a mess. There is a need sometimes to sit back calmly, understand the issues, find out the root problems, resolve it. And that is leadership at that point. Nothing else. And people should feel comfortable that you're calm, that they can come and talk to you.
That's
If
why
you're not approachable and you are going to be a yes man to me all the time, and that's why I encourage people to keep talking and saying what do they feel, what do they think, what do they disagree with me, even if they feel afraid, right? Because you got to create the environment for people to approach you and challenge you. If you don't create that environment, it'll catch up.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, and it's that is one thing which I distinctly observed every time when you visit. So that's why I was curious to ask you that question. Banesh, like, what one or two leadership habits or mindsets that has been critical to your success, and what would you advise to young leaders to cultivate first?
I think we all work hard. The question is defining what that hard outcome looks like. Right? Even today, I get innumerable reports that give me information, but no knowledge. As we keep saying today, we say it ourselves in AI, right? You have a lot of information, so you don't have knowledge. But how much coming to me is knowledge? I'll keep getting all kind of reports. Good reports, maybe. But when you give a report, you want everybody to read their knowledge or their experience into understanding what that means. But you don't provide any kind of knowledge. Now you're asking the LLMs to do that. I think it's very important for us to be able to distill all this stuff and give clarity of approach to everybody or what is expected. There is a lot of gray, and therefore you constantly have to try and get the gray to come up so that you can make it black or white. And if you think of a vision, you think, am I on a treadmill that can never scale? Because one of the big issues is scalability, right? And very often we sit back and look at the business and say, okay, I'll keep doing X number of deals, but will I really make the big difference, right? Am I doing a total innovation or am I doing incremental innovation? Incremental innovation I have to do. If I don't do incremental innovation, I'm never going to be around. But if I really want to scale, I have to do something completely different. And I have to carry a whole organization. And I think that is an important chart that we have to sort of sit back and keep looking. The more we get stuck into day to day without stepping back, and the reason I'm getting stuck into day to day is my problem because I haven't built the people who can run the day to day. And in some areas, by the way, as it is, I'm an operational type of guy who can sometimes get extremely hands-on. Uh, and therefore, I would prefer if, leaders step up, and to some extent, some have and some more should. And we need to bring in a lot of people, but you also have to see how people coming in merge themselves within the culture of the organization, right? There are a lot of good people in the company. The question is, can we give them the right opportunity to grow and build a team around themselves and take their own leadership? Are we holding them back? Absolutely not. If anybody says to me, then holding somebody back, I'm more than happy to give him a shot, right? Question is, we have to create that atmosphere for that transparency. So there's a lot of stuff that sometimes happen for internal positioning. It's a waste of time because it'll catch up with you. You've got to be as transparent and say, hey, here's the issue. Let me fix it. Particularly in the operational areas, because we are sitting sometimes so precariously placed, almost like I used to say in the old days in some of our operational roles, we're standing on a ball. And if you're not watching that ball very carefully, you're on your face. So I think we got to keep changing that.
Thank you, Banesh. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure having this conversation with you and to gain those insights, which will be really helpful for the age generation and the leaders, aspiring leaders. So thank you so much for your
No, you're welcome. And I'm glad that you're doing this. This is a good thing because I think it's different views. There's no straight view, right? Each person has their own different experiences, thoughts, and ideas. And like I said, some may resonate, some may not. Some may be right, some may be not so right. But the very fact that one has a dialogue, without any clear agenda, where one is trying to sort of take something together and take it to its next level. It's all about the people coming together as a team, dealing with the opportunities there, with customers, with the marketplace, within the organization, looking for inefficiencies, trying to improve things on a regular basis. I think those are the type of people who have enough of opportunities to grow. You know, and frankly, it's important for us to recognize that and make that possible because otherwise they'll go somewhere else and grow. And we should recognize that, and we do recognize that.
Thank you,
you.
Banesh.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Thanks for your time.